Hello, movie nerds, and welcome back to Cinematic Sarcastic, a podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we're going to talk about The Diplomat. This one is an older series. I think the season 2 finale just recently aired. I had never even heard of this show. I will be completely honest. I was scrolling through social media. I was on Threads, and everyone was talking about the cliffhanger season finale of The Diplomat season 2. And I was like, I've never even heard of this show. What is this show? And I will need you guys to really fill me in on what is going on here. Is The Diplomat one of those shows that takes a little while to get into? I think I am on the 3rd or 4th episode of the first season because I didn't want to start with season 2. I kind of wanted to understand what was going on beforehand. And I have to say, I am not quite understanding the appeal of The Diplomat. I don't quite know, I guess, what's going on. Like, if I look at a show like Spec Ops Lioness, for instance, I know who all the main characters are. I know exactly what their objective is. I know, who's in charge, who's running things, how things are going to go down. Like, they do a really good job in that show of explaining exactly what the point of that show is, right? And then there's a lot of sort of action sequences and things going on that make sense. And I have watched shows, I guess, that are similar in nature to The Diplomat, where it's not an action show by any means, but this is categorized as a thriller television series, and I'm not quite sure I understand why that is, because I'm, about 4 episodes in. I think I'm halfway through maybe the 4th episode. So I've seen 3 episodes all the way through. And I have to say, not really anything has happened. I do understand that the carrier ship, the naval ship, was bombed. And so they're going through this process of her being a diplomat to, from the United States to, the British Prime Minister and stuff, and trying to figure out who has done this and showing support and all of those things. But she seems extremely unqualified for this role. I'm very confused with the way that they've set up the show, I guess, because she is meant to be this ambassador to the United Kingdom from the United States, but it sort of seems like her husband is just doing her job for her. It seems like he's stepping all over her toes, which begs the question, why would they ask her in the first place? Which begs an even bigger question, why would it be her in the running to be the next vice president of the United States? Why would it not be her husband, who seems more than qualified because he's out doing her job? And he seems to be the one that has all of the connections. They didn't kidnap her to tell her, for instance, at the beginning of the show, that it wasn't Iran who had exploded this carrier ship. They kidnapped her husband because that's who they knew. So I'm just confused why he maybe is not the lead of this show as opposed to Carrie Russell and her character of Kate. I'm just confused. She seems frazzled. She doesn't seem to know what's going on. She doesn't seem to know how to get what she wants. She seems like she's just very anxious the entire time. So I'm sort of confused if this is one of those shows that just takes a minute to get into, and those of you who really love The Diplomat will have to let me know if that is the case, because I understand slower burn shows that where you kind of have to wait around for a minute to get the feel for the characters and sort of figure out where things are going to go, especially sometimes in more political leaning television series or shows where, there's a lot of intrigue and espionage and all of those types of things. Sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult to understand who's where and who's fighting for what side and all of those things. But so far, I have to say, I'm not quite understanding the appeal of The Diplomat. I'm not quite understanding why people have fallen so hard in love with this show. And maybe it's one of those where the first season is not the strongest season and the second season really finds its footing and its groove. There are a lot of shows that do that. I think The Walking Dead was very similar to that. I think they had a decent first season, but I think it took them a couple of seasons to really settle into the show, to get those good writers going, to really establish characters. And then, of course, it carried on for multiple seasons, and we see now the spin-off shows of that. So I wonder if The Diplomat is like that. Really, this whole episode is just basically everyone out there who watches The Diplomat and who is just floored by the season 2 finale. Tell me what it is about The Diplomat that makes you love the show so much, and tell me, like, is this just something that I need to kind of get through season 1 and season 2 is the better, or if I'm already not feeling season 1, is this just not the show for me? I am very curious to know, because everyone is talking about it and everyone seems to think that it is really amazing. The reviews seem really great, and I'm just curious potentially if this is maybe not the show for me, or if I am just missing, do I need to start over? Am I missing the whole point of this show, or what makes it great? Do let me know. So this isn't so much a review as like a question episode of I need you guys to help me out in what's going on with The Diplomat. So do let me know what you love about The Diplomat if you are watching or have just finished watching season 2's finale. Subscribe to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you in the next episode.